Welcome everyone to the first video recorded episode of Interviews with the MVPs, a segment from Imperial News Network, your home for all things Star Citizen. Remember, if we don't report it, it didn't happen. Ever. With you now is Silence. This week, we're going after an elusive bunch in INN. In lieu of going after an entire network, tracking them down one at a time, forcing questions upon them in an unsolicited manner, we've decided only to go after a couple. Nakara? Is that even how you pronounce that?
That is how you pronounce that.
Okay, and why did you go with that name anyway?
Oh, long story. Diablo
Make it short.
2. Way back in Diablo 2 days, I worked for a fan site, and it was a name in one of our fan fiction stories on our website.
Okay,
so very, very long time ago.
Nothing wrong with that.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, right. And Canadian syrup. Why? Just why Canadian syrup of all things? I mean, no, I'm saying Canadian syrup's bad. I mean, everyone loves syrup, but why?
Well, getting the obvious out of the way, I love syrup. You know, that's kind of my main thing. It was years ago, like this is probably a decade ago. I used to call myself Maple Syrup was my WoW handle back in the day. And I think when I tried to make it for a game, I don't know what it was, it was taken, so I did Canadian syrup and it just stuck. And I'm Canadian, obviously, so it works out, and that's just kind of how it's been.
Okay, that works. Nothing wrong with that after all. Hey, more than a few names I've gone with. It's only because of the fact that it's not taken yet.
I think many people have had that.
All right. So Nakara started transcripting before INN, and Canadian Syrup is the current taskmaster of the process. Part of this interview will be discussing the differences then and now, and we'll of course try to learn about you two as we go through it. So, let's begin this interrogation with some basic questions. What does INN stand for?
Well, the interplanetary, no, INN stands for the Imperial News Network.
You know, you guys just are such a tough crowd, I swear. But okay. How about Syrup? How long have you been following Star Citizen?
Oh, ever since Kickstarter. I found out from a friend about Star Citizen, and he was a Wing Commander fan. He told me, yeah, they're doing this Kickstarter, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And before that, I honestly did not really know anything about Wing Commander or anything about Chris Roberts or anything, and so I looked into this, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. You know, I played EVE Online and that for a long time before, and so I was always looking for a game that was not necessarily like EVE, but a more interactive first-person experience, and that's what Chris was pitching. I'm like, well, this is really cool. I could totally get behind this. And so I didn't kickstart the original, but I came in February when I actually had some disposable income, and so I bought a bounty pack, the pirate pack, which was it was the original 300i, and then I upgraded to a 325A shortly after, and then that was that. And ever since I've been following it and, just soaking up as much as I possibly can. And it's been awesome so far.
Oh, yeah. I think that we all agree with that. After all, why else would we be putting ourselves through this sort of torture? But, yeah, and you have Nakara there showing off the Squadron 42 shirt. So, yeah, I think just a few of us are into this whole Star Citizen thing. I mean, just a few. But how about you, Nakara? How long have you been actually following it?
Kickstarter is one of those situations where I'm actually not a Kickstarter backer, but the only reason for that is that I found it and I wanted to back it, but I didn't know anything about Kickstarter, so I was worried and unsure, and so I didn't pledge right away. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, I really got to buy that game. And so I went looking for it, and I saw the Kickstarter was over, and then I panicked. And But then I realized that I could still pledge on the website. So it was like December 8th or something, 2012. So just after it ended. No, I was here right from the beginning. I started off with a 315p, and love that chip, and still love flying it. Although, as many people know, it's in dire need of a retrofit.
Well, yeah, from what I hear, most of the 300 line is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, heck, you guys both have me beat, though. I didn't actually find out about it till well after the Kickstarter. But pretty much as soon as I found out about it, I was like, oh my God, I got to follow this. And then it was, yeah, I think I sold my old Kindle and then picked up a package. Yeah, it was some good times. But
what, you're
man, I wish I
actually
could have that
responsible in like selling things to fund your purchase? Wow.
Well, that might have been because I was a little short on cash at the time. But yeah, I did. Surprisingly enough. Okay, so what about the game drew you to it? Both of you. We'll pick whoever wants to go first. I don't care.
I'll take a crack at it.
All right.
I think it was the scope and what it was wanting to achieve. I mean, now with the original pitch, it's a different game than what it is today. But a lot of the concepts have just been simply expanded a great deal. So for me, like I'm a huge single player buff. You know, I love interactive experiences, being able to, you know, have outcomes that aren't always the same. And Squadron 42 is going to have this really interactive experience that not a lot of games really produce nowadays. You know, I mean, you have Call of Duty, you know, Battlefield, you know, they're linear campaigns, you know, you got some kind of tricks or whatever, but they're kind of predictable. Whereas Squadron 42, it's going to be more than just that. And then with the persistent universe, I mean, being able to do kind of like I was going back to with Eve, but something like that, but in first person, that had me hook, line, and sinker. You know, that vast ability to do whatever you wanted. You know, you want to be a pirate, you want to be merchantman, you want to, you know, be a mercenary, whatever you really want, and you have that that ability to do so. And for me, you know, I want to do search and rescue, and it's cool that we already have ships based around that, and look forward to getting in my Cutlass Red and actually flying it. So
yeah, actually it makes a lot of sense. A lot of the people that I've interviewed so far have been saying a lot of the same things, where it's the innovation of the game, but then also the possibilities of it. But so Nakara, how about you?
So, if I'm being entirely honest here, my response to it was Chris Roberts. Okay, I'm in.
You know, again, tell you the total truth. When I heard that Chris Roberts is doing it, that's pretty much the reason that I immediately was like, I gotta sell stuff to get this game. Because you know, I remember Wing Commander 2 was actually my first video game that I bought. Well, I didn't actually. It was a gift, but it doesn't matter. It was like my first video game, and I've loved his work ever since. Like, I have yet to find a game I don't enjoy of his. So, hey, not judging at all on that one.
My big experiences with, I mean, I did play Wing Commander, but I was pretty young in the 90s, especially the early 90s. But my big experience with his games was actually Freelancer, which I guess was at the end. But love that game to death. And honestly, from Freelancer right to Star Citizen, I was searching for a space sim to play. And I got to tell you, there wasn't a lot out there.
There really isn't.
And so as soon as I saw that, I was very excited, and I went, you know, this is the game that I've been waiting for whatever 10 years. And it's a pretty easy decision. The only hesitance I had was with Kickstarter. Once I could get the game without having to go through Kickstarter, I was pretty psyched about it. But really, for me, also the prospect of exploration of a huge universe like that And again, it had been 10 years since since freelancers. So I was like, well, what could they do with like space exploration in a modern game? And I was so excited about that. And thankfully, they've really pushed the exploration angle because honestly, the player base has pushed the exploration angle.
Oh yeah, and exploration really isn't a very common thing in games lately. You had like WildStar, which is like, oh hey, explore. Or, most of them they just hear a free experience for finding something new, and not a lot of them push it.
Not throwing stones here, but I bought into Elite Dangerous in the beta, and I wasn't very impressed with it then, but I recently played it a bit and I tried to explore, and I played it for like 8 hours straight, and it just gets incredibly mundane. Exploration consists of very little. You fly into a system, you press a button, you fly to a planet, and then you leave. And it just is, I think that CIG, especially with Tony Zervak's game design, will do a lot more.
I think that we all kind of hope that they push all the different angles of what they're hoping for Star Citizen, whether it's, Canadian Syrup's idea of being a medic, or your idea of being an interstellar explorer, or I'm sure the vast number of pirates, bounty hunters, and you name it in between, right? I mean, as long as it's engaging. So, do either of you actually have a background in like multimedia transcription, anything like that, or did you just kind of jump into it and go, let's go for it?
So I was actually a medical transcriptionist for 10 years. Kind of made it easy for me to do when I started. I actually don't do that anymore. About the same time that I hurt my back, I got a new job, which has been awesome, but I don't do medical transcription anymore. But that was sort of what led into it. I was like, well, a lot of people didn't have time to watch the videos, and I was like, well, I bet you people would have time to read, an excerpt on their phone whenever, and I started doing it for right before, I believe, the 2014 holiday live stream.
Okay.
And then I transcribed the holiday live stream. That was, I will tell you, oh my God, it was 4.5 hours long. It took me a week, but I got it done.
Did you actually transcribe the 24-hour live stream?
No, thankfully. No, I just started in December 2014. So
Okay.
when I sort of identified that there was this need that wasn't being filled.
What was that? Was that 2013 that they were doing the 24-hour live stream? I'm trying to remember. Or was that early 2014?
It was 2013. This is the last time we had one. I would love for them to do one again, but I don't expect it. Maybe when they launch the game, they'll do one.
Well, if they do, I'll probably drop by again. But so what about you, Syrup? Do you have any background in transcription, anything of that nature?
No, I really didn't. I mean, when I came to INN because I'd always been following the game, and I was always wanting to figure out a way. There was Logante and Kin Shadow, doing their videos, from the very early days. People come to know those guys in the community, and people's concept arts, all that kind of stuff. It's really cool, and I'm thinking, what could I really do? And so when Discord was launched, it became popular. Then the Star Citizen subreddit took it over, and I was talking to who was I talking to? I was talking to a guy named Anglo Manny, and he was an Australian, and saying, "Oh yeah, and could always use help." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what I can really do. I mean, I can type really good. I'm fast at it and stuff like that." And
ding ding ding.
And yeah, ding ding ding. Basically, they got me, talking to Dovak, and Dovak's like, "Oh, we can find something for you." And here I am, basically doing transcripts. So it's basically just the fact that I can type is why I'm here. So, but I mean, I've always done like writing in the past, but nothing of this level or anything. So,
Which actually brings up a good point. Nakara, how did you get into INN?
How did I get into INN? Well, on a fateful day in January of 2015, someone named Wolf Bradley. No, wait, Wolf Bradley? I think that's combining a few different names in our INN group. Wolf Larson messaged me on Reddit, and over the next few days, we decided to form a website. Originally, it was basically just going to be me ranting about Star Citizen, but it kind of exploded from there.
Just a little.
Yeah.
To the point where now INN's getting an MVP for it.
Yeah, I thank you very much to Sandy and Ben and everyone else at CIG for that, because it was very nice to see.
Oh, definitely. So recently, I actually just cut my teeth on this whole process of transcribing and whatnot. Actually, kind of funny because it just so happened to be the same around the first episode of that MVP, and oh god, that transcription. But knowing kind of that, Nakara, how did you actually do the transcriptions back in the day? Did you just was there any particular process to it, or you just kind of sit down, toss on some headphones, and go, "Let's type this"?
That's shockingly close to what it was. Honestly, it was like back then. I did a lot of it myself, which is like not something we do a lot of these days, solo ones.
Right.
But back then, I would basically just sit down with a video and hammer away at it all night. See, this is the thing that really Canadian Stirrup has brought to our transcripts. It used to take me, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 hours to get out a transcript, and he's like petrified if it takes him longer than an hour. And which is awesome because it brought a lot of speed and efficiency to the whole process. But basically, I would just sit down with a video and go at it. That only lasted a short while, though. I have to say, because pretty quickly we started getting help from other people in INN. David, aka Eris, would help me a lot, and for a long time we had a really good system going for RTV where we would sort of tag team that, and basically he's actually a faster typer than I am, even, but I'm more accurate, so he would do a lot of the raw typing and I would edit. But yeah, that's sort of how the history of how we did things. CS has basically revolutionized all of our processes. He's better than us.
Which actually brings it to a great point. So syrup over waffles, how does that differ to how we do it now?
Well, one of the big things is standardizing everything. So when it comes down to the different segments, 10-4, ATV, there's always a template we use to go off of, as well as, delegation is a really big thing, because when you have, for example, ATV, you have 5-6 segments that you have to take care of. You really need to divide people up accordingly to their strengths and weaknesses, and basically use that to your advantage. So delegation is a really big thing, and the more people you have, the better it is. And with Nakara back in the day, starting with herself and getting 1 or 2, it still took time, but now we're averaging at least 4 to 5, which is huge. So
Awesome.
Going from like Nakara said, 4 hours for that, going down to an hour or less, it makes a huge difference. Having 5 people work on a question for 10 for the chairman, you suddenly now get the whole thing out in 45 minutes, and it's awesome. So
what would each of you say is the most difficult part to the transcription work? We'll start with CS, since it's been a while.
Ooh, I would have to say keeping everything in order and accents. Accents are the bane of transcript work. You know, you have certain people that speak very clearly, and you know there are people who like to add a lot of filler words. They say so or really, but people with accents are usually the toughest because if you don't have someone of the native area, like for example, you know, for some segments I will have like Shiver Bathory, for example. I'll put him on. I think his name is Tom, and he's the I think he's a producer for Squadron 42 or just in that in Manchester, and he usually does their studio report, and I usually have him do it because of just general accent. But when you have someone that's French, for example, that there was on the Frankfurt studio update, that was really challenging. We had about 4 of us going through trying to figure out what it actually he was saying. So accents can be a really, really challenging part of the transcripts. But yeah, organization, keeping everything in check because, you know, not only are, you know, we working from a single document, I have to cross-post them to our website, and then I usually do it for Reddit as well. And then after all that's done, prep everything for closed captioning to send off to CIG. So.
Okay. So how about you, Nakara? What would you say was the most difficult part back in the day?
For me, I'd always see. I came from working in transcriptions, so I had seen a lot of accents. So accents weren't the biggest problem for me. Honestly, I know this is getting into minutia, but when people change their mind about what they're saying, so they go on this big long rant and you type and type and type and type, and then they change it. They go, oh, never mind, don't disregard that, and they change everything they said. And you run into some people who do it a lot, and it can make for a very long and messy transcript because then you kind of have to figure out how to stitch together what they mean instead of what exactly they said.
Chris Roberts.
Yeah, he does that quite a bit.
We love you, Chris, but I'm sorry, but you change your mind so much.
Or you know, Syrup, as you were saying, filler words much?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What I often found with Chris is that if he knows what he wants to say beforehand, it's very crisp and clean. Mm-hmm. If he's trying to explain something or doesn't actually know what to say, it ends up being very convoluted.
He uses sort of a lot in that instance when he's trying to relate it in a way that you can understand. So he uses sort of very often in that case.
Honestly, back in the day, I have to say, it might sound simplistic, but a big part of the problem was sheer workload. Mm-hmm. It's just when it was taking 5 hours 3 times a week to do a transcript, it's like a lot of work.
A lot of time. A lot of investment.
Honestly, the magic bullet here for sort of the last 4 months, I guess, has been we simply have more people. And CS organizes it really well, but just having the manpower is a huge assist.
Yeah, couldn't do it without the groups that I have, the group of people that I have. They are awesome, and to name them all, because I don't want to give them recognition. There's Shiver Bathory, Stormy Winters, obviously Eris, can't forget Eris. We have recently now Silence. Wow, I do not want to forget these names, or I'm going to look really, really, really bad. Yes, Sunjammer.
You're gonna look really bad.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of them. Yeah, but they're all awesome.
Yep. And I would like to be one of those people again someday, but circumstances have conspired against me, and I'm trying to focus more when I do have time to work on INN stuff. I've been trying to work more on articles, which haven't been coming out often enough, but it's that's sort of my focus, and I'm so glad that the transcripts are in good hands, because it's
Aw.
really our bread and butter,
Oh yeah. Well, MVP.
our meat and potatoes.
Yeah. When it comes to the transcribing, is there any advice that you guys would give to someone who's just starting to get into it? Like, what's the big thing?
Leave your preconceptions out. A lot of our stuff is word for word, and trying to summarize what someone's saying often loses the context or the meaning. I mean, if you're already doing a summary, then that's kind of the whole point. But a lot of the work is word for word, and it's important that you, as close as you possibly can, keep it to what they actually said.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing I would tell someone who's starting.
I think
How
one
about
thing
you, Mapley one?
one thing I'll add, and this is a big one that I've come to realize, is worry less about what you're typing and worry more about what they're saying. And I mean, this also does kind of tie into Nakara, but your focus shouldn't be thinking about what you're typing, but what they're actually saying, and you're naturally going to be typing what they're saying. It's kind of like the analogy I use when you're driving. You look where you want to go, and your hand's automatically going to turn the wheel to where you want to go. It's the same thing for transcript. You listen to what they're saying, and you're going to do the rest of it for you. And so if you're worrying about spelling everything perfectly and getting it right the first time, it's going to take you a lot longer. Whereas you can go back and edit it a little bit later, and that's why we're as fast as we are. Is, we'll get that rough draft first, then you go over that quickly and change it, and that's a lot easier than having to stop and go.
Okay. What are you guys most proud of with the MVPs? I'm sorry, with the MVPs. Let me try that again. We're gonna edit that, right? Right? We're gonna edit that, Jake.
No, we're leaving that in.
What is it that each of you are most proud of when it comes to the transcripts and the INN, etc.?
I would actually just say that we're kind of proud of how well we've been able to keep up with it over the, year and a bit now. For a while there, it was a lot of work, and there were weeks where you were just sort of like, I don't know how we're gonna get this done. Actually, a big point for that was the PU town hall, which was last February. It was like a month after we started, and we had to transcribe all of the. Do you guys remember that? They had the PU town hall. They had three different or four different panels, and they were each like an hour plus long, and that was a lot, and it took us a couple days to get them up. But no, just keeping up with the workload, I think, consistently has been great. But also I think a very important point of this whole thing is that we are thorough and okay, let's try and find the right word. We're thorough and yeah, you got it.
So what about you, Mapley one?
I think I'm most proud of where we've come, I guess, in general. I mean, the workload, keeping up top with this is definitely a big thing, but just how the transcripts have become, it's become, well, for some of them we did just bullet point. Now we do word for word for everything really now. And at the same time, we also, back in November, we started doing TLDRs, too long didn't read, for those people who, still don't have enough time to go through all the reading. And so it gives a quick digest for people who just want to know really that they just only care about that small part, or they just don't have enough time. And being able to do these full transcripts and the TLDRs and be able to provide closed captioning for CIG is been the best thing. It's just seeing how it's going to grow, and I look forward to seeing what else we could do in the future. but it's that progression is what I'm most proud of.
When you guys found out that INN received its MVP for their transcription, how did each of you feel in the car, knowing that you were really at the start of all this, and Canadian Syrup, and knowing that you're the current magnate of this conglomeration?
Well, I felt very proud of what we've sort of built over here. Proud that we have been able to provide that service to the community for we're at 13 months now, and it's sort of the core of what INN is. So to get an MVP for that is it feels pretty awesome. Also, a lot of thankfulness to CS for coming along when I got hurt and picking up the ball and running with it and then giving it rocket boots. Just and huge thanks to the community, because they are the reason we do this. And if people had told me 12 months ago that we hate this crap, don't ever do it again, it never would have happened. But I think we should now go to CS and see how he felt.
So how about you, CS? How did you feel?
Well, when I first found out, I was transcribing it, and this was
yeah, we did.
This was at about 10:30 at night, because that day CIG was having some ISP issues, and they couldn't post the post HTV for some odd reason, and so I stayed up until that time and started transcribing it. And then I saw it, I'm like, that's us. That's us. And then that was as far as it went. Then I just started transcribing, and then I was just like, that's cool. But then it actually kind of hit me, and I'm like, we actually we're MVP, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing now without Nakara, without Eris, without Commander Cruz and Tom, without Dolvac. Those guys are why I was able to take the reins from Nakara to be able to do the transcripts what they are today, because they taught me what I needed to do, and I thank all those guys for that. And I'm just so thankful for their support and being able to help me along when I'm doing my stuff, and not to mention their achievements and what they were able to do with Beefcast and then the podcast the way it is now. And it's I'm just proud of everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think I was in the middle of transcribing Pedro, and then I noticed that Discord kept popping up with a new message, and I looked over and someone was like, I got the MVP! And I'm like, awesome! Back to transcribing.
You basically, you just...
Oh, that was a hell of a night.
Yes.
But now we really got to get to the important questions. I mean, everyone, of course, will want to know this, and it's really kind of one of the most important parts. Nakara, what is your favorite ship?
The Aurora MR. No. I would have to say my favorite ship currently is the... oh, wow, that's a loaded question. The Carrack? I think the Carrack. She's a beauty. Then. What was that?
So you're a pirate, then?
No, I'm an explorer. The Carrack is an exploration ship.
Carrack is the exploration ship.
But it's...
What have you... What was it?
Oh, crap!
Thinking of the Caterpillar.
Nope.
Oh, I am.
The Carrack is an anvil ship.
Is it anvil? I'll be damned.
It's because the community got very confused about which manufacturers should be manufacturing which ships when we were deciding.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right.
CIG's like, really? Anvil? Okay. You guys asked us to, so you know.
Oh, man. I'm probably going to get all sorts of fun for that one, right? Totally screwing up the Carrack, and they'll be like, that silent doesn't know a ship's worth a damn. Oh, I don't know exploring ships, sorry. How about you, CS, though? What's your favorite ship?
Well, it's funny because I like the ship you thought it was, and that's the Caterpillar. The Caterpillar is the Drake, I guess. It's Drake isn't necessarily a pirate ship. It's just pirates happen to like the ships that Drake produces. But yeah, no, the Caterpillar.
Excuses.
Exactly.
I'm not a pirate. I'm using it for search and rescue.
I'm not a pirate, guys. I'm not a pirate.
Yeah. No, ever since I saw the concept for it way back, I was just this. I loved every aspect of it. The selling point for me was this modularity, being able to do so many different things with it, and it's just a very universal ship. You know, it's very tough. It's got a good armament to defend itself. It's not great for attacking, but it just fits the bill for a lot of things that I want to do. And I can't wait to see the hangar version of it. It's still going to be a while yet, but it's going to be awesome when it actually is in the game.
Yeah, I'm excited about just how modular it's going to be. It's one of those weird ships that even before modularity was a thing in Star Citizen, it was already modular.
Yep.
So I think it's going to sort of define the whole mechanic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So why is it that you like the Carrack, by the way? Is it just for the...
Well, I mean, honestly, here, you have an exploration ship that has a rover and a scout ship, and yeah.
But wouldn't the Aquila be on that same, because it has...
And I mean, to go beyond that, some of the first shots we got of it were that incredible bridge shot where where it has the glass canopy out front and the pilot's hanging out over like open space, surrounded by glass. And then there's the second deck where like the other officers can walk out onto like a balcony. It's just an incredible bridge that they designed, and the rest of the ship was just as amazing. Gurmak made that ship, and he did a spectacular job.
It is definitely a pretty ship.
And I just can't wait to, deep space exploration. It's going to be pretty awesome.
I think a lot of people are really hoping for the exploration. I'm going to be curious as well, just to see just how far they push some of that stuff. If there is one aspect of the game that you guys are really hoping to see fleshed out or just fulfilled, what would it be?
I think that ground exploration is something that recently has come to the forefront, because for a long time they were not seeing a very easy way forward in terms of procedural generation of planet surfaces, and so they were talking about having very small landing zones, and they would have to like handcraft each one of them, and that's incredibly labor intensive. So ground exploration was going to be more or less we can't do it very well, and especially not at the beginning kind of thing. Now with a crazy procedural generation that CIG Frankfurt has come up with, or actually, sorry, Foundry 42 Frankfurt has come up with, I think that they're going to be expanding that aspect a lot, and I think we could get into some pretty amazing content.
And what about you, CS? Anything in particular that you like?
It would have to be the medical system and how the penalties are going to affect people, because they're starting to do a prototype now of how, your arm getting shot, different parts of your body being affected by your wounds, and how actually treating them will go, and how advanced it's going to be, and essentially make my search and rescue job a little bit more exciting. So,
okay. If there's one thing that you guys wanted to communicate to just everyone in the community, what would that be?
Honestly, thank you for supporting us. There have been a lot of times when it would have been easier for the community to just tell us to go away. Then we've got a lot of support. Everything from my almost ridiculously famous, my famous shadow ban when I was Kibosh from Reddit. Everyone helped me get that reversed in like 4 hours. But no, just overall, very thankful to all of our fans for their support. And also, I kind of want to thank them too for supporting the same dream that I have, Star Citizen is it's going to be a long haul, and it's a big project, but it wouldn't have gotten done without every one of those whatever million plus backers. Because honestly, at this point, to do what they want to do, they need that kind of support. And yeah, so I'm going to stop ranting and give it off to CS here.
How about you, syrupy dictator?
Pretty much, he hit the nail on the head, because I mean we wouldn't be doing what we do without you guys. You guys are the reason why we put in the hours we do every week just to bring you this news, because we're just as passionate about this project as you guys are, and if we can do something to make your experience a bit better, we're all for it, and keep supporting CIG and everything. It's like Nakara said, it's a long haul, but you know what? So far, it's been well worth it, and I can't wait to see what's yet to come. So,
well, I think that about wraps it up. Unless either one of you have anything you would like to add.
Yeah, just thank you very much to you for asking to interview me and CS, and huge thank you to all of our fans and to CIG for the MVP. Like, it was unexpected and pretty thrilling, I have to say, to get that kind of recognition.
Anything you want to add, CS?
I love everyone.
I think that about wraps it up. So thank you both very much for joining me on the first video recorded episode of Interviews, and hopefully we'll have some more after this one. Well, with that all said, we'll see you all in the verse.
In the verse.
My name is Stitch. Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten.